I want to welcome you all to OSU Okmulgee and say that we're pleased that you've had the opportunity to take time to come to this particular session. We're particularly pleased to have the opportunity to demonstrate this technology also at the institution. This is a compressed video studio, and this will be the only compressed video studio that we have, but most of you, at least that are maybe from Okmulgee, know that we're ready soon to occupy the Donald W. Reynolds Technology Center, and that will have 3 full-motion video centers in that. So we're really pleased about that, because my belief is that what is happening here today is the way that a great deal of corporate communications and training is going to take place, because you can reach a lot more people quickly, effectively, in an interactive way at significant cost reduction. And I think all of us are looking at ways that we can search to find ways to reduce that overhead and continue to produce a product or provide a service in an effective fashion. So this is exciting. A couple things I want to say. So I want to say thanks to the state for the OneNet system and the help that it's provided. And we had hoped to be online with this 18 months ago, but it came about now, and we're pleased to have the opportunity. Second thing I want to say also is that I'm particularly pleased that with this type of session and the work that Brenda Renault has done, and I don't want to, because I want to mention this to you. I've only met her one other time officially, and she probably doesn't remember, but that was in the Speaker of the House of Representatives, his office one time when we were sitting there, and we were talking about, and I told her we're getting ready to take bids on the Donald W. Reynolds Technology Center, and that's when she was doing some work, very positive work from my perspective, on the little Davis-Bacon Act. And she said, I can't remember what you said, but I think you said something like that'll save you about 25%. I don't know whether it did or not. I don't know what the percentage was. It's irrelevant. But the thing that I can say on a 56,500 square foot facility, that the facility alone without equipment was $5.4 million. We're within about 25% of $25 of bringing that building in at the estimate that the architects and contractors said that it would. We've had like $10,000 increase in change orders, and we're going to have about a $10,000 deduct, and so we're going to come right in. So we really appreciate that perspective from this institution, because what that allowed us to do is to make sure that every one of those dollars that needed to go toward the academic side of the house, improving learning experiences for students, and providing these kinds of capabilities are happening. And so I'm very pleased with that. So anyway, thanks much for coming. We're pleased. I want to encourage you to use this technology. It's your technology. It's the community's technology. It's the taxpayers' technology. Anytime, in any way that we can facilitate this type of effort. Now I'd like to introduce Johnny Coleman with the State of Oklahoma, Department of Labor. Johnny?
Thank you very much, Bob. Appreciate it. Folks, I'd like to welcome you today. Thank you for the opportunity to come to Okmulgee and share some information. I hope that will be beneficial to all of you. I'm the Director of Workers' Compensation Division for the Oklahoma Department of Labor. The division's mission is to ensure that employers provide workers' comp insurance for their employees, and that's much needed in Oklahoma, as safety in the workplace is needed. I would want to refer to a brochure that's been put together recently, and I've been with the Department of Labor over 8 years. This brochure is about workers' compensation from the standpoint of requiring employers to comply and what the division is about. There's some good information in it. On the back of it, the workers' comp court's number's there. If an employer needed to find out if his competitor had workers' comp insurance, he could simply call that 800 number and ask for the insurance division and see if an employer has workers' comp for the employees. It's unfair competition if they don't have it, isn't that right? There's some other numbers there also. If you have someone that has committed fraud in your mind, you want to notify the Attorney General's office, and that number is on the brochure. I'd also like to share with you another title I have. I'm the Safety and Labor Relations Coordinator for the State Department of Labor. Commissioner Rowe assigned me to that position primarily to work with the Worker Safety Policy Council and to facilitate the safety outreach program that we're having here today. We've been going throughout the state of Oklahoma. The The Worker Safety Policy Council, which was established by law, meets once a month and is composed of private and public sector individuals. The council's mission is to study and formulate recommendations that could result in fewer work-related injuries and lower workers' compensation costs for employers. In September of 1994, the council submitted their first annual report of recommendations to our governor and legislators. The council recommended that workplace safety be propagated across our state. As a result of the council's recommendation, the State Department of Labor began a safety outreach program. Under the leadership of Commissioner Renaud, the State Department of Labor's OSHA division is conducting safety outreach meetings throughout Oklahoma to rectify a misconception and proclaim that safety does pay. Most people associate federal OSHA and big fines with our state OSHA division. However, Oklahoma's OSHA division is friendly, they do not issue fines, and they can help business leaders reduce workplace injuries by providing a free safety consultation service. Today, I hope each of you discovers some information that is beneficial. If you do, please share that information with someone else. And I have to constrain myself from bragging on our Commissioner of Labor. She's doing a fantastic job, and I don't get paid to say that, but I'm really proud of the job she's doing. But I'd like to take this time right now. It's my pleasure to introduce our Labor Commissioner, Brenda Renaud. Thank you.
I'm intimidated by high technology. I want to thank you all for taking time away from your jobs and other places that you could be today to be with us to find out how you can reduce your workers' compensation costs in Oklahoma without having to wait on the legislature to bring us what we call true workers' comp reform. I don't think relief for workers' compensation costs is going to come by way of the legislature anytime soon, if it ever comes at all. And in the meantime, what the Department of Labor wants you to know as citizens of the state of Oklahoma, as employers and as workers, is that there are some things that you can do in the meantime to take matters into your own hands, and we want to share some of those things with you today. I want to first begin by officially thanking the local hosts and sponsors that allowed us to be here today, the Okmulgee Chamber of Commerce, the Okmulgee Environmental Development or Economic Development Corporation, the Green Country Area VOTEC, the Northeast Oklahoma Manufacturers Council, the Oklahoma Safety Council, and of course, Oklahoma State University at Okmulgee. We thank you very much for bringing us here. I also, as Johnny said, don't get paid for this plug that I'm going to give either, but I have to give a plug to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. I was in a magazine store recently and noticed, quite by accident, picked up a magazine that is published by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce called The Nation's Business. I picked it up because on the front cover I noticed an article that talked about workers' comp. And at the Department of Labor, we're always interested in anything relative to workers' comp issues, whether it's on the enforcement side or what side it's on. Picked up the magazine, and it turned out to have the best article and most concise article that I've ever seen that explains the importance of understanding how your workers' compensation premiums are figured by your insurer. And I want to recommend to you that if you can get your hands on a copy of the September issue of Nation's Business through the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, you'll see an article called Costly Numbers in Workers' Comp. And before I get to the part that we're going to share with you about how the Oklahoma Department of Labor can work with you one-on-one specifically to reduce your workers' comp, I want to tell you a few things that you can be checking on in the meantime as you prepare to work with the agency, if you choose to, on your safety programs. One of the most common reasons that a company's insurance premium sometimes is higher than it should be is because of a misclassification of your workers. And if you know how that works, then I'll probably be giving you information that you already know, you already understand, but bear with us here. The insurer's misclassifications of workers can inflate a company's premiums so badly that one company owner who fought in court to get his workers classified or reclassified properly got a refund of several tens of thousands of dollars over a period of time. And to quote him, he said, "Employers who don't check the accuracy of their experience ratings and their workers' classifications every year are in the same position as letting the IRS do your taxes without asking any questions." So I think that's significant, and I think you should understand how your classifications work. The job classifications of all your workers are determined by the NCCI, which stands for National Council on Compensation of Insurance. And the book that that organization uses is called a Scopes Manual. And you can get a copy of the Scopes Manual, or you can look at a copy of the Scopes Manual through a local library, or your insurance carrier should also have a copy of that. But you should know what your workers' descriptions are and how your insurer has those workers classified to determine whether or not it's appropriate. You certainly don't want to be paying high hazard rates for a clerical worker, and that's common, especially in manufacturing and the construction industries and some medical fields. Another thing that you need to understand in order to protect your interest when it comes to your workers' comp premiums is your experience modifier. In addition to your job classifications, your experience modification factor plays a big role in determining your premium. The experience mod, as it's called in the insurance industry, is a numerical expression of the company's accident and injury record. How that works is an experience mod of 1.0 means you have an average safety record. An experience mod, for example, of 0.80 means that you have a good safety record, and that would merit a 20% reduction in your workers' comp premium. Now, if your experience mod is 1.20, that would mean a 20% increase on your premium. So understand how your safety record equates into what's called an E-mod, and how that is used in calculating your premium based on what your workers' classifications are. Those are very important. A couple of things that you can do to follow up on that is don't assume your job classifications are correct, especially if they haven't changed for a long time. NCCI continually updates their worker classifications and job descriptions, I'm told, so periodically those change. Check and see if your classification needs to be changed along with that. Talk with the classifier in your state. You may be with the state insurance fund, or you may have a private carrier, but get written descriptions of the job classifications that they're using for your workers to see if they match. And check the premium rates, especially for alternative classifications with your insurer, and your insurer can work with you on that. However, I would like to say that the reason we're here today is to offer you the best and most effective way that you can reduce your workers' compensation costs in the state of Oklahoma, and that is by working with the state OSHA Consultation Division at the Oklahoma Department of Labor. And as Johnny Coleman said, oftentimes we're confused with federal OSHA, who has the ability to write fines. The Oklahoma Department of Labor does not have the authority to write fines, nor are we interested in catching employers doing something wrong. We're interested in catching employers doing something right, and in helping employers in the instance that they may be doing something wrong, help them correct any problems that they have in the workplace that could lead to a safer work environment for everyone. And I'm going to give you an outline of our consultation program, and then we're going to have a brief presentation by our OSHA Division Director, who I'd like to introduce to you right now, and that is Leslie Rex. And Leslie will take my place here momentarily. She has a brief overhead presentation that explains why the Oklahoma Department of Labor no longer promotes safety as a priority in the workplace. That sounds very odd, but as you follow along with us today, you'll see why we no longer offer safety as a priority. We offer it as a value. Employers can find out about potential hazards at their work sites, improve their safety and health management programs, and even qualify for an exemption of up to 1 year from OSHA federal inspections. The service is delivered by the Oklahoma Department of Labor through a grant funded largely by federal OSHA. Primarily targeted for small businesses, the Safety and Health Consultation Program is completely separate from federal OSHA inspection process. The service is offered strictly as consultation, only through the state Oklahoma Department of Labor, where no citations can be issued and no penalties can be imposed. The service is also confidential. Your name, your firm's name, and any information you provide about your workplace or any unhealthy working conditions that our consultants discovered are not routinely reported to federal OSHA unless the employer expressly refuses to correct those hazards in the workplace that we find. The company's only obligation is to correct serious job hazards. That's it. Situations creating hardships in correcting those hazards may receive time extensions. If it's difficult for you to meet the correction process, then you can work with our local staff and we'll work with you on that. Another inviting feature of the service is that it is strictly voluntary. You have to invite us into your workplace for this consultation service. We can't barge into your workplace uninvited and begin an inspection process without your invitation. Although we encourage a complete overview of your company and your organization's safety and health situation, you have the option to choose to limit the service to one or more specific problems or concerns that you may have. A consultant will set up a time to visit and first meet with you in what we call an opening conference, in which we'll briefly review the Department of Labor's role and obligation and the employer's role and obligation. Employee participation is strongly encouraged throughout our consultation process. We find that when employers involve their employees in the safety program development stage or in just making improvements, sometimes you want to institute incentives in your safety and health program. Employee involvement is the key, and you're going to see today why we say that when we share some statistics with you on some Oklahoma companies who've done that very thing. The consultant will study your entire plant or the specific operations that you designate and discuss the applicable OSHA standards. Our consultants will also point out other safety or health risks which might not be cited under OSHA standards but might nevertheless create situations in your workplace that could cause an accident or result in an injury in some way. I'd like to, at this point, too, let you know that the consultants at the Oklahoma Department of Labor and the industrial hygienists at the Oklahoma Department of Labor are trained at the OSHA Institute alongside federal OSHA inspectors. We learn the same interpretations and have the same amount of education and expertise that the federal inspectors do, so we can interpret the OSHA standards for you. I don't know of very many employers who like to sit around and read OSHA regulations and try to make those determinations, but that's our job. We don't expect you to be the expert. We expect that you expect us to be the expert, and if you'll allow us to come in and do that for you, you can benefit in so many ways other than just reducing your workers' comp rate, but you can also, as I said, get the exemption from federal OSHA inspections, and that's always a popular and inviting reason for employers to want to work with state OSHA rather than federal. A comprehensive consultation will include the following: an appraisal of all mechanical and environmental hazards and physical work practices, an appraisal of the present job safety and health program or the establishment of one if there is none, a conference with management on our findings, a written report of recommendations and agreements, and assistance with resources in implementing those recommendations that we agree to. The consultant will then review detailed findings with you in what we call a closing conference. You'll learn not only what you need to do to improve your workplace situation, but what you're doing right as well. At that time, you can discuss problems and possible solutions to eliminate or control any serious hazards identified during our walkthrough. Following the closing conference, the consultant will send you a detailed written report explaining the findings and confirming any abatement periods that we've agreed upon. Consultants may also contact you from time to time to check on your progress, and you're always welcome to contact us as well in the meantime should you have additional questions. Knowledge of your workplace hazards and ways to eliminate them can only improve your own operations and the management of your own firm. You'll get professional advice and assistance on the correction of these workplace hazards, and you'll benefit from on-site assistance from our consultants, from us directly to you and directly to your employees. Our consultants will also help you either establish or strengthen an existing program, making safety and health activities routine considerations in your companies rather than crisis-oriented responses. Fixed work sites, which undergo a comprehensive consultation, who correct all identified hazards and establish an effective safety and health program, may receive a certificate from the Oklahoma Department of Labor which will exempt you from federal OSHA inspections for a year. In a nutshell, what we will do is help you recognize hazards in your workplace, suggest general approaches or options for solving a safety or health hazard, identify kinds of help available for you if you need additional assistance, even additional resources and assistance outside what our agency can offer. We'll provide you a written report summarizing our findings. We'll assist you to develop or maintain an effective safety and health program. We'll provide training and education for you and your employees, and we'll recommend you for the one-year exemption from federal OSHA inspections. What we will not do is issue citations or propose penalties, and we will not report possible violations to the federal OSHA enforcement staff. Again, our service is voluntary, it's confidential, and it's free of charge. The Oklahoma Department of Labor OSHA Consultation Division would very much like to be your safety consultant in your company. And so many Oklahoma businesses are not able to afford to hire a safety consultant to have on staff full-time. But what we want you to know at our agency is that you have the same service available to you through the virtue of the state and the legislature's generosity, and probably understanding in how important safety is in the workers' compensation costs, but more importantly in the value of human lives. To share the success of some of Oklahoma's companies who have worked with us, I'd like to just give you some statistics and let you know there's nothing better than a personal testimony of someone who's worked with you and who can confirm what you say is true. Beetle Plastics in Ardmore, Oklahoma. One of the companies that has worked with us brought their workers' compensation premiums from 1995 to 1996 in 1 year down 62% by working with our consultation division. They offered cash awards as incentives for an accident-free performance to their employees. Incentives work. Custalfab Incorporated in Sand Springs, Oklahoma, who has an active 21-member safety committee. The total cost of injuries reduced from more than $2 million in 1995 to about $37,000 in 1996. Dana Corporation in Oklahoma City, an employee-based safety program again, made up of volunteers, 84% reduction in workplace accidents, and an 86% cut in workers' compensation costs. Hollytex Carpet Mills in Anadarko, Oklahoma, implemented an employee-based, what they call safety culture, 60% decline in lost workday rate in 1996, and the company offers what they call Hollytex Bucks for the employees to spend in the company's store. We can go on. We have several Oklahoma companies. We have 8 in particular that we gave a safety award to in June, which was National Safety Month. And that was when the Oklahoma Department of Labor launched what we're calling our Safety Pays program, or our OSHA outreach, which is kind of scary. Nobody really wants OSHA reaching out to them, but once they understand the difference between state and federal, then it's not quite so scary. But one of our favorite companies is called VE Enterprises in Springer, Oklahoma. They've worked with us from some time, but the company reduced their workers' compensation premiums in 1995 by $140,000 that year. They took that $140,000 and reinvested that money in their employees in the form of increased wages and benefits. That was a win-win situation for both the company and for the employees. Leslie is going to talk to you and give you a presentation on safety as a value. And I think you're going to find it very interesting. And the one thing that people generally go away from our seminars with is a different perspective on how to look at safety. And I hope that you all will take the opportunity to ask questions of us today. Between Leslie as OSHA Division Director and Johnny as our Workers' Compensation Enforcement Division Director, we have some valuable information that we can share with you, and we certainly want to make as many answers available today before we leave as possible. And yes, sir, you have a question?
I'm going to fall back on old Oklahoma custom, call you Miss Brenda. I'd like to say amen to everything that you've said. This is a fruitation, plucking of the fruit, seeds that we plan that started back with Governor Raymond Garrett, Senator Don Baldwin, and the Labor Department, many, many years ago. Ma'am, what you presented here today is excellent.
Thank you.
Everything that you have said there is things that we have worked for in the past, that are coming to fruit now.
Finally.
I'm really ashamed of the turnout here that we have here in Okmulgee, because there are many, many people need to hear what you have said. I want to apologize for some of those folks that I know should be here.
One of the things I did not do is also tell you another reason that we're here. I have another motive for being here today, and that is I'm trying very hard to change the reputation of the Oklahoma Department of Labor. And in the defense of those who didn't join us today, I think the Oklahoma Department of Labor in the past has had a very heavy-handed enforcement type gotcha mentality. We want the citizens of Oklahoma to know that we don't have that mentality any longer. We have the mentality of we want to help you, and the only way that we can change our own reputation is to work at it very diligently and get out around the state little by little and visit with those who are willing to visit with us. I think we set our own reputation, as you said, using an old saying, we made our bed and now we're having to lie in it. But those of us, the generations that come up and realize the value of safety, realize the value of working with businesses, with the taxpayers and the citizens of Oklahoma in a voluntary and cooperative fashion, are realizing the benefits of that. And I think we're losing that enforcement mentality. It's offensive. We're public servants. We're an agency that offers a service, and we want to do that. But we do have some road to travel in trying to clean up, if you will, a reputation that some of the newer generation is having to live with from some of the people that came before us. But so I kind of offer that in those people's defense who aren't here today. But the more people we do get out and get a chance to visit with, the more we are changing our reputation, and the more people are seeing the value in a cooperative working relationship with the Oklahoma Department of Labor's Consultation Division. And I appreciate your input.
Ma'am, I'm going to close Miss Brenda when you made my day.
Thank you, sir. I think you've made mine. I thank you for being here. I also, again, want to tell you that in an attempt to educate and inform and make our agency accessible to the citizens in the state of Oklahoma, we've developed a website, and we'll make sure everyone has that information before we leave today, because you can get a lot of information about our agency directly now off of the internet. For people who are afraid to pick up the phone and call the Department of Labor, which is not unusual, you can access the website and perhaps get answers to your question that you have, and maybe you don't want to talk to a live person there. Another thing that we're doing is developing educational materials. Like Johnny said, we want you to know what the laws are. We want you to know what we do at our agency. The best way we can do that is not just to make ourselves accessible to you, not just have a website, but to put information in print and get it out to you so that you can have it in your workplaces and you can copy it, share it, read it when you need to. But also at the same time, as you go through that process, I think you'll see a different attitude altogether, and I think you will feel more free to call the Oklahoma Department of Labor to ask further questions. And with that, I could talk all day about the wonderful employees at the Oklahoma Department of Labor. I'd like to introduce another one to you right now, and that is Leslie Rex with our OSU division. And Leslie has a presentation I think that you're going to enjoy.
Thank you, Commissioner. It's wonderful to be in Okmulgee today. What I'm going to do is turn off the video and let you look at a PowerPoint presentation that I put together, and we'll go through that a little bit. My computer has to warm up. Okay. One of the things that we've been talking about with the Worker Safety Policy Council and the OSHA Outreach Program is that we have a vision, and that is that we want safety to be ingrained in the workplaces, in the culture of all Oklahoma workplaces. And safety culture, the Commissioner mentioned it, one of the examples that of companies that we've worked with. It's kind of a new term in the world of safety, a safety culture. And so what I want to talk to you about today is, if I'm a business owner, what is a safety culture and how do I get one? because you can't buy it at the store or order it over the internet. So first of all, before I get into that, let's talk about some truths. First of all, businesses exist to make money. I don't think that there's a business out there that opens its doors with the intent to lose money. Secondly, we all know that accidents cost money and then some. Not just the cost of the injury itself, but there's many other hidden costs. There's also the human cost as far as pain and suffering and the toll it takes on the family. And does anybody really want unsafety? Does anybody get up in the morning and say, honey, today I'm going to go to work and I'm going to lose a finger? I don't think so. There's not an employer out there that wants to hurt his or her employees. So everybody wants it, but why is it so hard to get? So let's talk about what is a safety culture. Very simple. It's the way you do business. It's integrated into every aspect of your company's operations, from the top all the way to the bottom, from the manager of the company or the owner to the guy who comes in and fills the soda machine. Everybody is part of the safety culture, and it's considered a value in the organization. Now, that's an interesting term. Safety is a value? What does she mean by that? First of all, let's look at some common safety slogans that we see everywhere. We see them on t-shirts and hats and banners. Safety is our top priority. Yay, we hear that all the time. Safety is number one. Safety first. Well, I tell you that these are inaccurate statements. And you're probably thinking, what is she saying? But let's look at the definitions of priority versus a value. First of all, this is right out of the dictionary. A priority is a precedence established by order of importance or urgency, but a value is a principle, standard, or belief considered worthwhile or desirable. So, a priority will change based on your needs or urgencies of the moment. What is top priority today will not be top priority tomorrow because things happen and things change. But a value remains constant no matter the priority. And let me give you an example of this. Let's say that every morning when you get out of bed, you have a routine, right? You get up, you take a shower, a cup of coffee, newspaper, some breakfast. Well, what happens if 3 o'clock in the morning the phone rings and it's a family member and there's been an emergency, someone's been injured? Well, the priority flies out the window, the routine. You just get up and you go and you take care of what needs to be taken care of. Well, what is the thing that you do every day without fail, no matter the priority, before you leave the house? You get dressed, right? You put your clothes on. Why? Because wearing clothes is valuable in our society. And so that's how we should look at safety. It's something that's always there, no matter the priority. Let's look at some common priorities that businesses face. Production, maintenance, sales, engineering, research. These are all very important priorities, and they're important for businesses in order to be successful. So what I say is just put the word safe in front of it. Safety is your value. You have safe production, and you have safe maintenance, and you have safe sales and marketing, and safe research, and safe product development. In order to get a safety culture, you have to accept safety as a value for your organization and not think of it in terms of a priority that can change. You also need to develop a workplace where everyone feels responsible for safety and pursues it on a daily basis. And there's a term that I've heard recently called actively caring. And that means going out and doing something for safety to care about your fellow employees. Next, everyone in the organization must understand what a safety culture is. They must understand their individual role for safety in the organization. If I am a secretary in accounting, what is my responsibility for safety in the organization? Maybe it's processing the purchase orders to get the safety equipment that the people out in the work area need and getting it done in a timely manner so that they have the equipment. And then everyone has to accept that responsibility willingly. I think if people understand what their role in safety is, they will accept it willingly because, as we said, nobody really wants unsafety. And finally, it's very important to celebrate success. When you do a good job, when you celebrate a milestone, get out there and shout it from the rooftops. It doesn't have to be expensive incentives and gifts and awards. A pat on the back goes a long way towards reinforcing a safety culture. So with that, I would like to take this opportunity to introduce, back on camera one, right? Okay, introduce Karen Niles from the Oklahoma Safety Council. We do a lot of work with the Oklahoma Safety Council. They're not part of the Department of Labor, and they've been sponsoring us in these outreach programs, and they offer a lot of resources in safety that we don't offer, and yet we work together in a cooperative effort. So, turn it over to you, Karen.
Well, first of all, I want to also tell you I'm glad to be here. We appreciate the Commissioner and the Department of Labor inviting us to work with them in these outreach programs. We are a not-for-profit, non-governmental organization. Companies will join the Safety Council and pay a membership fee. And then for that fee, we provide them with services, such as a free video library. We have over 600 videos in our library, in our offices in Oklahoma City and Tulsa. We also provide a safety resource library. We each have a library in our service centers, as well as we have access to the National Safety Council Library, which is very valuable to people who need information. We also do training, and all of our member companies receive discounts for that training. We teach medic first aid and CPR classes. We do forklift operator safety classes. We teach bloodborne pathogens, defensive driving, DUI classes. We do a wide variety of safety classes. They're open to the general public, and like I said, our member companies receive a discount. We also do seminars on a monthly basis. We do three to four seminars a month in each of our service centers. We do everything from workers' compensation to ergonomics, National Safety Council supervisor development programs. We offer an advanced safety course through the National Safety Council. We also put on conferences. We do 2 annual conferences, one in the spring and one in the fall. In the spring, it's held in Oklahoma City. In the fall, it's held in Tulsa. These are large conferences where we bring in national speakers. We have exhibitors that exhibit the latest in the safety products, as well as we run concurrent sessions for 2 days. We just finished ours in Tulsa about 3 weeks ago. We had right around 300 people. It was very successful. We do many conferences, too, throughout the state in some of the smaller towns. We have one in Shangri-La in the spring. We also do one in Ardmore in January. So we do some of the smaller ones around the state in order to let these people know what is available, teach them the latest training that is out there. So we offer a wide variety of services. We are a service organization. And the companies that join, we're there to service them. So once again, I want to thank the Commissioner and the Department of Labor for allowing us to be here. And if you do have any questions, I'll be around the rest of the day. Thanks.
I did want to mention one thing. In your packet or out on the table out front, this is a free ticket to an industrial and packaging show in Oklahoma City, October 29th and 30th. It's not just a safety show, it's a total industrial trade show at the fairgrounds. We'll be there. We'll have our booth set up. The Commissioner will be speaking at a couple of different sessions. And just because we are participating in this, we were given free tickets to give away, and so we would like you to be our guest at the Industrial Trade Show. If it's not something that you're interested in or applies to your business, but you know someone that could benefit from this, go ahead and take one and give it to them, because we would love to see you there. So hope you take advantage of that opportunity. At this point, I'll turn it back over to the Commissioner.
What we really do at this point is try to include our audience and ask you all what industries you're from and what your interests are. Are you the business owner? Are you the training coordinator, perhaps, for your organization? And give you the opportunity to ask us some questions where we can be specific to your industry or to your company's needs. And if that's okay, I'd like to just start right here in the front.
Well, I'm here for 2 reasons. I work at the plant here in town, Nature's Cocoa facility we have here, and we are owned by Monsanto. And of course, safety is very high priority for us. And some things that we've seen is of interest, and we certainly want to discuss some of this stuff with you. The other reason that I'm here, though, is also I'm the chief executive officer of NEOMAC, Northeastern Oklahoma Manufacturing Council.
Great.
Represent over, like 40 different manufacturers in this part of the state. And one of the core topics that we're going to have in one of our core themes is working safety. And we do want to be able to present some of what's available to these manufacturers. Manufacturing Council represents mostly small to medium-sized companies, those that don't have the access to bigger companies to like corporate resources. And it sounds like a perfect fit, the things that you guys are presenting. And we need to bring our next corporate meeting is next Friday. So I've got to get some information to bring back down to you. I think little brochures,
Great.
websites, and things like that. So I'm here for a couple of different reasons.
We really like to get invited where we can to groups, associations that are formed specifically for an industry to help better that industry. If you would like for us to come and do a presentation just to your group, we'd love to do that. So if there's anything we can do in addition to giving you information to leave here with today, maybe we can work something out and perhaps get on an agenda to come and show your group our consultation service.
Yeah, I think that the I was going to shoot for next Friday, but at least get some brochures and hand out to the people to get the interest there, and then schedule for maybe one of the following quarters to actually have a presentation.
Seems a little less threatening to business owners as well when their association will put a program on and introduce them to something like what we're doing at the Department of Labor and give them a chance to come in without having the Department of Labor have a one-on-one contact in the beginning. So thank you for being here and spending this time with us. And if you decide you want us to come and speak to your group,
We can't
can do
hear
that.
the audience mic.
Can't hear, I'm sorry, can you hear it now?
they're not on.
Actually, you might just repeat what the question was.
Whose? His or mine?
He can hear you, he can't hear the audience, I believe.
Oh, okay. Well, right now the audience is basically telling us who they are, their main purpose for being here, what industry they represent, and give them a chance to ask us any questions specific to their interests. Why don't we go ahead and start up here on the second row?
Okay, I'm manager of the local abstract company, and most of it is clerical or some things similar to that, but I am interested in the classification aspect. I think perhaps that's something I really need to look into, and you said that the library is probably the best place to find this book.
Scopes manual. In fact, I'll give you some more specific information before we leave. Well, I'll do it right now, actually. Someone else may want it too. The first place I'd check, if I were you, is with whoever carries your workers' comp insurance. If he does not have a Scopes manual available to share with you, check the local library. But you can also call NCCI directly, and that book can be ordered. And I'd call them and ask them how to order one. I thought there was a number here for them, but there's not. But it's the National Council on Compensation Insurance.
Another thing I'm curious about is the posters that we're required to put up, and I know some of it involves safety, some of it involves other things like minimum wage and non-discrimination and all that. Are they available for free?
Yes.
To the state, because I've been paying to get them, and they want to update every year, but is there some place that I can get those?
You bet. Both state and federal posters that are required by employers to be posted in the workplace are available for free from whichever agency is responsible for the subject matter on that poster. And what you'll run into sometimes is the private enterprise out there, people who will put together that information for you, perhaps try to make it more concise or include it a lot in one piece, and then, make that available for a price. But you certainly can call the Oklahoma Department of Labor. I think the only poster that we require is the minimum wage poster,
The pink one.
the pink one.
There's other organizations, like the non-discrimination, all that.
Right. Call EEOC, call the U.S. Department of Labor. In fact, the quickest way to find out what you need to do with regards to the U.S. Department of Labor is access their website. They have a very nice website. We've accessed it several times ourselves. And you can actually download posters. If you don't have a clean one, you can download one and print it off from your computer and hang it in your workplace while you order one directly from them, and you'll meet the requirements, the posting requirements. Even if it's not pretty and it's not as big as you'd like for it to be, you've still met the requirements while you're ordering the one that... There's also...
We have a supply of the federal OSHA safety and health poster that's required, and either the federal OSHA office or our state OSHA office can provide that to you. We keep those around just because people ask for them, so we want to give them what they need.
Is there any way that when a person asks a question, could you possibly say it where we can hear it? We're having a hard time following. I'm sorry.
The question is, how can employers get copies of posters that are required at both the state and the federal level to be posted in the workplace? And you can call the Oklahoma Department of Labor at 528-1500, or you can send us an email over the internet. We also have some federal posters available as far as OSHA goes, but you can access U.S. Department of Labor to find out what other posters. There's a federal minimum wage poster that's required, along with the state minimum wage poster that's available through the Oklahoma Department of Labor. But where it's federal in nature, the federal agency is the place to contact. Where it's state, the state agency is the place to contact. And we'll try to help you with those. EEOC has a poster that you're required to post. You can contact them directly. That's the only posters I can think of right now besides minimum wage, OSHA, and EEOC, or affirmative action requirements.
We have a statewide 800 number. It's on some of the material, but I'll give it to you. It's 1-888-269-5353.
Keep you from having to make a long-distance phone call.
Yeah, it's a toll-free call. Yeah, that's our office, the OSHA office, and we've got the numbers to the EEOC. We can provide that to you.
We actually have a list of telephone numbers for commonly needed agencies, and we'll be glad to fax you a copy of that. There's a lot of, whether you want to need them or not, there's a lot of agencies out there you probably need their telephone numbers. We can share that with you. How about you, ma'am? Oh, wait, I'm sorry. You're not with her?
No.
I'm sorry.
My husband and I own a small business, 6 employees, and your ad said that this might help lower our workman's comp. We've been in business 35 years. We have never had an accident. Our workman's comp is 5% of our employee's salary, which is a lot for a small business. And it just frustrates me. Your ad said this might help reduce our rates.
What industry are you in?
We're in the dry cleaning business.
Okay.
We've actually done several dry cleaning establishments around the state, so, we might be able to, I don't know what your EMOD is, but you might qualify for the SHARP program. You have to have an EMOD of 1.25 or higher. That's an injury experience modifier rate, and your insurance company can tell you what that is. If it's 1.25 or higher, you can qualify for our SHARP program, and by working with us, perhaps qualify for a % reduction in your premiums.
So how would I find out about that?
Call our office. First, call your insurance company and find out what your EMOD is.
Okay.
then call our office and tell them that you want to talk to someone about the state SHARP program. And if you want, if you have a card, or you can give me your phone number, and I'll take it back to the lady that coordinates that program, and she'll give you a call.
Okay, great.
And to repeat your question, it was basically, you're in the dry cleaning industry, and how can you reduce your workers' compensation costs? And Leslie just outlined the first steps to take. We'll try to help you with that. How about you, ma'am?
I'm here representing the city of Okmulgee.
Wonderful.
And of course, we're very concerned with workers' comp.
Yes.
And we're also going to be using a consultation service. In fact, Larry's coming Wednesday to spend a couple of days with us.
That's great. And actually, it's not a question, but she just said that she's with the city of Okmulgee, and she's interested in using our consultation service, and we've already scheduled a visit to come out and begin that service. And it's a good a time as any. You want to tell about our public employees?
Okay.
OSHA?
The OSHA consultation that we've been talking about is geared towards the private industry, but we do have another division called the POSH division, which is Public Employees Occupational Health and Safety. And they offer services for the public sector, city government, schools, fire departments, police departments, water, power utilities that are publicly owned. And they actually have some enforcement jurisdiction. However, we work in a consultative mode as long as we can. So, good group of folks in the POSH division. They go to the same OSHA Institute training as we do, and they're a good group to work with. So,
It's very exciting to get to work directly with cities, and I'm excited about that.
in fact, many of the POSH employees are former city employees. A couple of retired firefighters and that sort of thing. So.
Thank you for being with us today. Appreciate that. How about you, sir?
I'm also with the city of Okmulgee, and my area of interest is public works.
Great.
Infrastructure, water, sewer, streets, roads, parks, all that. So when Larry comes over next week, when I'm through with him, he'll definitely earn his money. Because I've got a host of questions, concerns, and issues, and I'm new to the city of Okmulgee. I came on board, I guess, I'm going towards 2 years this coming March, and so we're setting some new ground, some new precedents in what we're doing and how we're approaching things, and so I'm going to have fun.
This gentleman didn't actually have a question, but he is also with the city of Okmulgee, and he's with the Public Works Division, and is interested in working with our consultation division as well. And I have a special appreciation for those of you who work in the Public Works Division of any city. My background is in the construction industry, and I used to work frequently with cities and towns and trying to help with through the bidding process and how to classify workers and that sort of thing. And I know that's a very difficult position to be in sometimes. So I have a special appreciation for all the different factors you have to work with.
It's fun.
Yes, it can be fun. Might as well look at it that way. Why not?
You have to, or you'll go insane.
Yes, you will. Almost in any profession, actually. But thank you for being here. We're very excited about getting to work with the city of Okmulgee. How about you, ma'am?
I'm with the Henrietta Chamber of Commerce, and my purpose here today is, of course, we were one of the sponsors, but the other was to have information available for the people in the community that have questions. And your comment earlier about that they tend to fear you rather than look at you as a partner in what their
Right.
needs are. And I find that they will come to me and say, well, where can I find this out? If I have the information available there, just to give them the opportunity to say, okay, here's this brochure, you need to call these numbers, you need to have someone available. We have probably, just in the industry area, we probably have about 10 companies in our area, and from large to 400 employees down to the 6 employee.
Great. So really, to repeat what you said, you're with the Henrietta Chamber of Commerce, and that you have companies frequently more comfortable contacting you for information about what the Oklahoma Department of Labor does rather than contact us directly, which doesn't hurt our feelings because we know that. again, we have to clean up our own reputation and show people the difference between, and really in our own defense too, a lot of the U.S. Department of Labor's reputation mistakenly gets reflected on the state agencies, probably in every state. It's not just Oklahoma. But you specifically asked if you could take back printed material or even have access to additional printed material to have access for people in your community. And the answer is yes, 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 and yes. And if you run out, we'll make you more. We'd love for you to do that. Thank you. How about you, sir?
I'm with New City Calco also. I'm the safety specialist there, so.
Great.
That's my role, and also act as a training coordinator. I guess a couple of things that I was interested in. We had worked with the area VOTEC in terms of safety training, and they have a program, and I'm not sure specifically how it's associated with the Department of Labor, where the cost of the training itself was covered, was paid. The classroom hour training was reimbursed to tech, and therefore it was a free training opportunity for a business. Yes, we're interested in pursuing maybe some expanding that training activity. Our experience, and I think my experience individually at a lot of sites, is even though you go through and you correct a lot of condition situations, there's still a pretty significant, in fact, the majority of actions involve some behavioral component. And
Yes.
so we're interested in maybe discussing some behavioral safety issues with yourself or others on the staff today at
Okay.
some opportunity.
So to repeat your interest, you're interested in discussing some behavioral techniques for employees to further develop your safety and training programs at your own firm. And you've had some training, free training offered to your employees through the State Department of VOTEC. We're familiar, the funding that was provided for that is also, some of that also comes to the Oklahoma Department of Labor, which is helping us be here today. It's through what's called a special indemnity fund through the Workers' Compensation Court. And the legislature wants VOTEC and wants the Department of Labor to be spending this money to come out and work directly with businesses to do exactly what we're trying to do today, and that is train, make aware, make things available, be accessible. And so I'm glad to hear that you're taking advantage of both training through the VOTEC and your accessibility here today with us. There was something else that you said there was another point I wanted to make. Oh, I know what it was. One of the things that's vitally important for every firm, every company, and organization prior to beginning your employee training programs is to have an assessment done to know what training programs you need specific to your industry or your trade. One of the things that distresses me most is to find out that a company has spent all this money on training their employees, and federal OSHA came in and said, well, you didn't have the right training, so we're going to issue a fine anyway. Safety training providers come in many different forms, and that's really not the first step. The first step is not training. The first step is an assessment to determine what your training needs are. And then you can go about the business of selecting the training provider of your choice, whether that would be VOTEC or a private organization or the Oklahoma Safety Council or Oklahoma State University. There's lots of choices out there for training providers. So I can't stress enough the importance of beginning your consultation service or the development of your safety and health program at the Department of Labor, where two vital things can occur. One is you can find out exactly what your needs are, and secondly, the thing that we can offer you that no one else can is the potential of that exemption with federal OSHA, where we can keep them at bay while we work with you here at the local level and do what we do best. So,
One other comment, I guess, is we have been working with OSU, specifically with fire service training in terms of emergency response activities at our site, and I guess I'd a plug for them and encourage a relationship between the Department of Labor, OSHA, and OSU, especially fire service in terms of emergency response, but that whole group up there, they're doing a really good job in trying to expand their labor outreach industrial component, and I think it's a good partnership.
Right, well, I'll tell you that, he was talking about the OSU Fire Service Training Program for emergency response training. I actually graduated from Oklahoma State University, and while I was a student there, I worked at OSU Fire Service Training, and so those guys kind of brought me up in the world of safety, and we have an excellent relationship with them, and we're trying to put together some industrial stuff together with those guys, and you're right, they're an excellent group, and they provide excellent emergency response training, fire brigade type trainings.
We're pretty impressed with them, too. Would you like to speak again?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Oh, good.
I graduated in a NYA school, early day VOTEC school. And I went on, I worked on B-17s, B-29s, two-stack destroyers, Liberty ships, and all the wheel vehicles of the United States Army. 40 years almost in an oil refinery. You have picking the fruit off the trees that we planted some time ago, a long time ago, I told you. You'll never know how much I appreciate this. I retired after 40 years in the oil refinery. We never had a fatal accident there. We never had a major accident. We had several accidents, but none of them were fatal or major. But you have, the program that you presented here today, you two ladies, is one of the most excellent programs that I've ever heard. And I like to tell these folks here, pay attention to these folks here, they know what they're talking about.
Only because people like you began it so long ago.
But thank God that we've got people that will take the interest of folks to heart and show them the safe way to work.
Well, thank you for knowing that. It's nice to run across people in the community that recognize the value of safety and that recognize safety is a value, not a priority. It's a value, and you knew it back then. And I appreciate your wisdom, and of course we always appreciate any praise that we get at the Oklahoma Department of Labor. People are always comfortable at sharing criticisms often, and so anytime I can get praise for the consultants and our people at the agency, I always appreciate that. But most of all, I appreciate you recognizing that what we're trying to do is valuable. And the more we can get out and do that, I think the better it'll be for the state of Oklahoma. And it makes me feel like that maybe the citizens of Oklahoma are getting their money's worth from the Oklahoma Department of Labor, and that's my mission, to make Oklahoma a safe place to work, to make sure people are paid the right wages, and to make sure that we are public servants, we conduct ourselves as public servants, and that we're there for you when you need us. And for you not to be fearful of our agency is an accomplishment that we're all working toward. So with that, I'd like to thank you all for being here, and please take as much material as you would like. If we run out, if you'll leave us.
If you had a question.
The gentleman in the monitor. Do you have a question for us or a comment? I apologize.
That's fine. My name is A.J. Hornberger, and I am the Director of Environmental Health and Safety for a company here in Tulsa.
Well, thank you for joining us. Do you have a question for us today?
No.
What kind of business are you in?
We run a medium-sized screen printing company. We print on paper products and all types of metal.
How many employees do you have?
120.
Oh, that's pretty good
Well,
size.
you would be a prime candidate for an OSHA safety and health consultation. We would love to work
We've
with
done
you.
it in the past.
Oh, okay, good.
If you were with us from the very beginning, you may have heard me speak of the magazine Nation's Business, the September issue. You can get that through the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. But there's an article in that magazine about a printing company who had some specific concerns, and I think you'd benefit from reading some articles in that particular issue of the magazine. You might pick that up since it's relative directly to your industry about OSHA concerns. And thank you again for joining us. And thank you all for being with us here today. We appreciate you very much, and we hope that you'll contact us and let us be of service to you further. And let us know if you run out of materials. We'll make some more just for you. Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming today. Brooks, thanks for coming today, sir.
Yeah, really.
To see that we find a lot of things learning.
Business card, but also wrote on